Welcome to the Superbike Rescue Channel, dedicated to bringing old sport bikes out from under blue tarps, out from the back of the garages and away from the sketchy owners and back onto the road where they belong, where I show you the right way to bring your bikes back from the dead.
Alright, welcome back to the shop, which is tonight is actually the kitchen table. Whatever. So, just wanted to have a discussion tonight about carburetors, which is kind of the Achilles heel of most older sport bikes. You're going to run across this a lot on Craigslist, Marketplace, wherever you find your bikes. You'll hear people talk about starts on spray, carbs need clean, just needs a tune-up, carbs need adjusted. You hear carburetors mentioned a lot. The reason for that is most people don't understand them. If you're new to bikes, you're going to be a little scared of carburetors. They're really simple.
You're a damn liar.
So, just to give everybody a quick rundown of what you're looking at, this little cable right here is your idle speed adjustment. Normally mounts to your frame out to the side. Depends on your bike. A couple of things here. We've got choke cable connector, which is stuck and bound up on these particular carburetors. This is your throttle attachment location here, and this should open all four butterflies. It barely wants to open two of them. I believe we've got the left and these two carburetors seized for whatever reason. Corrosion happens. These carburetors have seen some better days. They've got a fair bit of mileage on them, and they're dirty, as you would expect. So you'll hear the phrase batted around, carbs need cleaned. That's really a loaded phrase, because what you actually want with your carburetors is carburetors rebuilt. That means taking them to a professional shop, having someone with the proper measuring tools to take these carburetors apart, measure each individual component in the carburetor, verify it's within tolerance, put them back, set them up according to manufacturer's spec. Not just your buddy slapping them together, spraying some carb cleaner in them and calling it a day, pretending you cleaned them. A lot of the problems people have on these older bikes with them not running right comes down to you should have just had the carburetors rebuilt. It's a lot of money.
My buddy's got a shop. He does carburetors. He can get it done for about $3.
Go ahead and open these up and see what we're dealing with. So there it is. That's what's inside of carburetors. So when we take carburetors apart, we want to look for basically corrosion. So we'll take a look at these float bowls. They don't look horrible. I mean, they're definitely not what we want to see, but you can see that fuzzy gunk down in there. That's what gets sucked up in your carburetors, and that's why your bikes don't run. Same, this one's a little worse, a little bit fuzzier. So short answer is these carburetors need to actually be rebuilt by a professional, not something I'm going to tackle. What I will show you guys while we're in here is just some more of the basics of how a carburetor works. This right here is your float. This drops down. Normally these would be dropped down. These are upside down. Drops down, opens a small valve. You can see that little valve right there. It's brass, opening and closing. That lets fuel fill up these float bowls. The engine sucks the fuel out of the float bowl. That when it drops to a certain level, this float drops back down. Lets more gas into the carburetor. Goes back up to shut the fuel flow off by floating, hence the name. They're not very creative when they name things. This little guy right here, that is actually your jet, your main jet. When you hear people talk about rejetting a bike, we're talking about taking these out, swapping out a larger jet, the bigger jet. The more fuel gets in, the more fuel that gets in, the richer the bike runs. When a bike runs lean, that means it's going to burn hot right up until the point where it doesn't run. So the leaner you can get a bike to run, the more power it has, but also the hotter it's going to run. When you get too lean, that's when you start burning holes in pistons. There's an expression, lean is mean. That's what they're talking about. It sounds a bit odd that the more fuel you get, the worse it's going to run up until the same point. You dump too much fuel in, it won't run. You'll see black smoke coming out of your bike. You'll have black plugs. That's an overly rich bike. So this is a good thing to show you guys. These O-rings right here, as you can see, are pretty deteriorated and actually rock hard. That is actually feeling harder than the plastic is for that rubber O-ring. So what that tells me is that's not going to seal at all. One thing I was going to mention on carburetors, especially this type of carburetor, there's lots of O-rings and seals inside of them. When those dry out, as they do over 20, 30 years of age, they just dry out. The only way to fix that is to take them all the way down, have those seals replaced. And when you're trying to tune a bike, you know, these guys that always say, just needs a tune, just needs carb cleaned, well, that's stupid. You can't tune junk. So with that, these carburetors are questionable on whether or not we're going to be able to reuse them. I don't ever do my own carburetors just because I don't really know what I'm doing. And so that's all I got.
Oh, good, it's finally over.